Let's talk about the drinks that defined childhood. The ones your mom packed in your lunchbox or made Saturday morning cartoons feel like a sacred ritual. These weren't organic juice boxes or flavored sparkling water. These were honest, artificially colored American beverages that tasted like summer vacation. Today we're dusting off the childhood drink disasters that somehow convinced an entire generation that neon-colored sugar water was refreshing. Because life's too short to pretend that high-C Ecto Cooler was anything more than green food coloring with delusions of grandeur. So subscribe and grab your beloved childhood beverage and settle in. This is going to hurt your nostalgia. Minute Maid pioneered frozen orange juice concentrate in 1946, convincing post-war families that reconstituted orange juice was somehow equivalent to fresh squeezed. By the 1970s to 80s, this stuff was a breakfast staple in American kitchens, with Bing Crosby's radio spots making housewives think he owned the company. The preparation ritual was part of the appeal. Kids loved watching the frozen cylinder of orange concentrate dissolve in water, creating what parents believed was nutritious breakfast juice. The reality was far less wholesome. This was concentrated sugar water with artificial flavoring and enough preservatives to survive nuclear winter. The fresh frozen marketing was pure corporate manipulation. Minute Maid was selling families convenience disguised as nutrition, charging premium prices for orange-flavored corn syrup that had been stripped of most vitamins during processing. The concentrate contained more sugar per serving than most sodas, but parents served it at breakfast thinking they were providing healthy nutrition. The flavor that seemed so bright and citrusy to young palates now tastes like someone dissolved orange-flavored tang in sugar water and forgot to add the vitamins. The artificial orange flavoring is so harsh it burns your throat, while the concentrated sweetness coats your mouth like liquid candy. Coca-Cola was exploiting parental guilt about nutrition to sell families artificially enhanced orange-flavored sugar water at juice prices. They knew parents wanted to give their children something healthier than soda, so they created a breakfast drink that was actually worse than soda, but marketed it as wholesome family nutrition. Procter & Gamble acquired Sunny Delight in 1983 and transformed it into one of the most successful marketing scams in beverage history. Those iconic TV commercials featuring kids choosing Sunny D over purple stuff convinced millions of parents they were giving their children something resembling fruit juice. The reality was far more sinister. Sunny D contained only 5% fruit juice. The rest was water, high fructose corn syrup, and enough artificial flavoring to create the illusion of citrus. The ingredient list read like a chemistry textbook: citric acid, sodium citrate, sodium benzoate, yellow dye number 5, and red dye number 40. The most damning evidence came from the UK, where a 4-year-old girl turned bright orange after drinking too much Sunny D. The beta-carotene overdose created a condition called carotenemia, proving that this juice contained enough artificial coloring to literally change your skin color. The tangy, artificial orange flavor that seemed so refreshing as a kid now tastes like someone dissolved orange-flavored candy in carbonated water and forgot to add the carbonation. The aftertaste is pure chemical, a lingering reminder that you're drinking laboratory-created orange flavoring, not anything that ever grew on a tree. Procter & Gamble was exploiting parental guilt about nutrition to sell kids artificially flavored sugar water disguised as healthy juice. They knew parents wanted to give their children something better than soda, so they created a product that was actually worse than soda, but marketed it as a juice alternative. Capri Sun arrived in the US around 1981 with revolutionary packaging that made every kid feel like they were drinking from the future. Those shiny pouches were designed to make children feel special, like they were consuming space-age technology instead of flavored sugar water. The marketing genius was in the pouch itself. Kids loved the ritual of stabbing the straw through the foil, the satisfying crunch of the first puncture, the way you could squeeze the pouch to control the flow. It was interactive drinking that made regular juice boxes seem boring by comparison. But strip away the packaging innovation, and you're left with what amounts to artificially flavored water with just enough fruit juice to legally call it a juice drink. The Pacific Cooler flavor that dominated school lunchboxes was essentially tropical flavored sugar water, with enough preservatives to survive in a backpack for months. The flavor profile that seemed so exotic and refreshing to young palates now tastes like someone dissolved tropical flavored Jolly Ranchers in water. The artificial fruit flavors are so prominent, they completely overwhelm any actual fruit juice, creating a cloying sweetness that coats your mouth like liquid candy. Capri Sun was exploiting children's love of novelty packaging to sell them sugar water at juice prices. They understood that kids would choose fun packaging over actual nutrition, so they invested in pouch technology while filling those pouches with the cheapest possible ingredients. Kool-Aid has been poisoning American childhood since 1927, but the 1980s and 90s versions reached new heights of artificial excess. Those packets of flavored powder promised to transform plain water into exciting beverages. But what they actually created was liquid candy masquerading as refreshment. The preparation ritual was part of the appeal. Kids loved mixing the powder, watching the water change colors, and adding sugar until it reached candy-level sweetness. The Kool-Aid Man bursting through walls became a cultural icon, but he was essentially a mascot for childhood diabetes. Each packet contained enough artificial coloring to dye fabric, enough artificial flavoring to overwhelm any natural taste buds, and enough citric acid to strip paint. The sugar content was entirely up to parents, which meant most kids were drinking what amounted to liquid candy with every meal. The flavors that seemed so distinct and exciting, cherry, grape, tropical punch, now taste like someone dissolved colored chalk in sugar water. The artificial fruit flavors are so harsh and chemical tasting that they actually burn your throat, while the food coloring leaves your mouth stained for hours. Kraft was exploiting parents' desire to give their children something special while keeping costs low. Kool-Aid was cheaper than juice, but more exciting than water, creating the perfect storm of artificial ingredients and childhood marketing that convinced generations that powder-based drinks were normal. Hawaiian Punch launched in 1934 but reached peak cultural dominance in the 1980s with those memorable "How about a nice Hawaiian Punch" commercials. The punchy mascot became synonymous with tropical refreshment, but what kids were actually drinking was red-dyed sugar water with delusions of fruit content. The original formula contained less than 10% fruit juice, with the rest being high fructose corn syrup, water, and enough red dye number 40 to paint a fire truck. The tropical flavor was entirely artificial, a chemical approximation of what someone thought tropical fruits might taste like if they'd never actually tasted tropical fruits. The signature red color was so intense it could stain clothing permanently, which should have been a warning sign about what it was doing to children's digestive systems. Parents learned to fear Hawaiian Punch spills more than actual paint, because at least paint eventually fades. The flavor that seemed so exotic and refreshing to young palates now tastes like someone dissolved red-flavored candy in corn syrup and added enough citric acid to make your teeth hurt. The artificial fruit punch flavor is so cloying and chemical-heavy that it's almost undrinkable for adult taste buds. Hawaiian Punch was exploiting children's fascination with tropical imagery to sell them artificially flavored corn syrup. The Hawaiian theme was pure marketing fantasy. There was nothing Hawaiian about this punch except the name and the palm tree graphics on the can. Minute Maid launched High-C Ecto Cooler in 1987 as a tie-in to the Ghostbusters franchise, and it became the most successful example of movie marketing disguised as beverage innovation. That neon green color wasn't inspired by citrus fruits. It was designed to match Slimer's ectoplasm from the movies. The flavor was supposedly citrus tangerine, but what kids were actually drinking was artificially flavored sugar water, colored with enough green dye to glow under black lights. The Slimer mascot on the box convinced children they were drinking something magical, when they were actually consuming liquid candy with a movie tie-in. The marketing campaign was brilliant in its manipulation. Kids didn't just want the drink, they wanted to be part of the Ghostbusters universe. Every sip was supposed to make you feel like you were fighting supernatural forces when you were actually just rotting your teeth with high-fructose corn syrup. The neon green color that seemed so cool and otherworldly now looks like antifreeze mixed with food coloring. The flavor that once tasted like liquid adventure now reveals itself as artificial citrus flavoring so harsh it makes your mouth pucker in self-defense. Coca-Cola was exploiting children's love of movies to sell them overpriced sugar water with a licensing fee built into the price. They knew kids would pay extra for drinks that connected them to their favorite characters, so they created the most artificially colored beverage possible and slapped Slimer on the package. The Jolt Company launched Jolt Cola in 1985 with the slogan, "All the sugar and twice the caffeine," a marketing message that should have terrified parents but instead became a badge of honor for teenagers seeking the ultimate sugar rush. Jolt contained 71.2 milligrams of caffeine per 12-ounce can, which was nearly double the caffeine content of regular Coke. Combined with massive amounts of sugar, it created a beverage that was essentially liquid speed marketed to children and teenagers as the ultimate energy drink. The cola flavor was aggressively sweet and artificially enhanced, designed to mask the bitter caffeine taste while delivering maximum stimulation. Kids who drank Jolt experienced sugar highs followed by crashes that would make modern energy drink consumers blush. The marketing targeted teenagers who wanted to feel rebellious and adults who needed extreme caffeine fixes. The brand positioned itself as the anti-establishment cola for people who thought regular soda was for weaklings, creating a cult following among caffeine addicts and sugar junkies. What seemed like the ultimate power drink to teenage taste buds now tastes like someone dissolved caffeine pills in corn syrup and added enough artificial cola flavoring to hide the medicine taste. The sugar content is so extreme it coats your teeth like syrup, while the caffeine hit feels like drinking liquid anxiety. PepsiCo launched Slice in 1984 as their answer to the growing demand for fruit-flavored sodas, marketing it with the slogan, "We got the juice," to suggest it contained more real fruit than competitors. The reality was far less impressive than the advertising promised. Slice contained approximately 10% real fruit juice, which sounds substantial until you realize that 90% was still carbonated sugar water with artificial flavoring. The Lemon Lime Original was followed by orange, apple, cherry, and other varieties that all shared the same basic formula: minimal juice, maximum artificial enhancement. The carbonation combined with fruit flavoring created a unique taste profile that seemed refreshing and sophisticated to young palates. Kids felt like they were drinking something more grown-up than regular soda, while parents felt better about giving their children something with real juice. The Fido Dido cartoon mascot that appeared in later advertising campaigns perfectly captured the drink's artificial personality. A stick figure character as fake and manufactured as the beverage he was promoting, the whole brand was built on the illusion of authenticity while delivering corporate manufactured fruit flavoring. What once tasted like sophisticated fruit soda now reveals itself as artificially flavored carbonated sugar water with just enough real juice to justify the marketing claims. The fruit flavors are so obviously artificial they taste like someone carbonated fruit-flavored candy, while the 10% real juice gets completely overwhelmed by chemical enhancement. Welch's grape soda launched in 1974 under license from the Juice Company, trading on the Welch's reputation for quality grape products to sell what amounted to purple-flavored carbonated candy. The association with Welch's grape juice convinced parents this was somehow healthier than regular soda. The grape flavor was so intensely artificial it bore no resemblance to actual grapes, but kids didn't care. They loved the deep purple color and the candy-sweet taste that made other sodas seem subtle by comparison. This was grape soda turned up to 11, with enough artificial flavoring to overwhelm any natural taste buds. The purple color was so intense it could stain everything it touched, from clothing to teeth to tongue. Kids would drink Welch's grape soda and walk around with purple-stained mouths like they'd been eating markers. But somehow this seemed cool rather than concerning. The discontinuation in 2011 sparked a grassroots Bring Back Welch's Grape Soda campaign that revealed just how addictive this artificial grape flavor had become. Adult fans described it as the best grape soda ever made. But what they were really mourning was the loss of their childhood sugar addiction. The flavor that once seemed like the ultimate grape experience now tastes like someone dissolved grape-flavored Laffy Taffy in carbonated corn syrup. The artificial grape flavoring is so harsh and chemical-heavy that it actually burns your throat, while the purple color looks more like cleaning fluid than anything you should drink. Yoo-hoo launched in 1928 with a name that sounded like pure childhood joy. But what kids were actually drinking was one of the most successful beverage scams in American history. The marketing convinced generations of children that they were drinking chocolate milk, when they were actually consuming chocolate-flavored water with delusions of dairy content. The ingredient list reveals the corporate deception: water, high fructose corn syrup, whey, cocoa, and a handful of preservatives. Notice what's missing? Actual milk. Yoo-hoo contains so little dairy that it doesn't even require refrigeration. It's shelf-stable chocolate water masquerading as milk. The signature yellow bottles and caps created the perfect illusion of premium chocolate milk, while the chocolate drink fine print on the label was small enough that most kids never noticed they weren't getting actual chocolate milk. Parents assumed they were giving their children something nutritious, when they were actually serving artificially flavored sugar water. The chocolate flavor was entirely artificial, a chemical approximation of what someone thought chocolate milk should taste like if they'd never actually tasted chocolate milk. The watery consistency should have been a dead giveaway, but kids were too distracted by the sweet chocolate taste to notice they were drinking liquid candy. What once seemed like the ultimate chocolate milk experience now tastes like someone dissolved chocolate powder in sugar water and forgot to add the milk. The artificial chocolate flavoring is so harsh, it coats your mouth like liquid candy, while the watery texture feels more like drinking chocolate-flavored water than any dairy product. Yoo-hoo was exploiting children's love of chocolate milk to sell them artificially flavored water at premium prices. They knew kids would choose the sweet chocolate taste over actual nutrition, so they created the most shelf-stable chocolate beverage possible and convinced parents it was somehow equivalent to real chocolate milk. Gatorade launched in 1965 as a legitimate sports drink for the University of Florida football team, but by the 1980s to 90s, it had become the ultimate example of marketing manipulation targeting children who weren't athletes. The Be Like Mike campaign with Michael Jordan convinced kids that drinking Gatorade would somehow make them better at sports. The reality was that most kids drinking Gatorade were sitting on couches playing video games, not running marathons or playing professional basketball. This was a high-sodium, high-sugar beverage designed for extreme athletic performance, being marketed to sedentary children as a healthy alternative to soda. The artificial fruit flavors, lemon lime, orange, fruit punch, were designed to mask the salty, medicinal taste of the electrolyte replacement formula. Kids loved the bright colors and sweet taste, not realizing they were drinking what amounted to liquid salt with artificial flavoring. The marketing genius was in positioning Gatorade as performance enhancement rather than refreshment. Kids didn't just want to drink it, they wanted to become athletic superstars by consuming the same beverage as their sports heroes. Every sip was supposed to unlock hidden athletic potential. What once tasted like liquid athletic achievement now reveals itself as artificially flavored salt water, with enough sugar to mask the sodium content. The fruit flavors are so obviously fake, they taste like someone dissolved sports drink powder in sugar water, while the sodium content makes your mouth feel like you've been licking a salt lick. Snapple launched their Elements line in the mid-1990s with flavors named Rain, Sun, Earth, and Fire. Pretentious names that suggested some kind of mystical connection to nature while delivering artificially flavored sugar water with delusions of sophistication. The marketing campaign positioned Elements as beverages for enlightened consumers who understood that drinks could be more than mere refreshment. They could be spiritual experiences. The reality was far less transcendent. These were standard Snapple fruit drinks with new age marketing and inflated prices. Rain was supposed to taste like agave cactus. Sun promised starfruit citrus. Earth delivered chocolate strawberry. And Fire offered dragon fruit. These weren't flavors that existed in nature. They were corporate approximations of what marketing executives thought mystical flavors might taste like. The glass bottles and sophisticated labeling convinced teenagers they were drinking something more mature and refined than regular fruit drinks. The higher price point made parents assume they were buying premium beverages, when they were actually paying extra for marketing concepts and fancy packaging. What once seemed like sophisticated, almost mystical flavor experiences now taste like someone dissolved fruit-flavored candy in sugar water and gave it pretentious names. The agave cactus tastes like artificial melon. The dragon fruit tastes like generic tropical flavoring. And the whole line tastes like corporate executives trying too hard to be spiritual. These drinks didn't taste good. They tasted like childhood, when your palate was too undeveloped to detect the chemical assault happening in your mouth. Now that you're an adult with functioning taste buds, you can finally taste what these beverages actually were: artificially flavored sugar water designed to create lifelong addiction to processed foods. Hit subscribe if you want more truth about the foods that shaped your childhood, and drop a comment about which of these drinks you're most embarrassed to have loved. Until next time, keep drinking smart and keep fighting the good fight against liquid sugar addiction.